Okay, I'll tell you how the story of the Catalpa rescue reached out through time and found me. On my iPod, the playlist that I'm playing all the time now is Celtic punk. Because somehow there's something about like bagpipes and electric guitars, when the Ramones are like hitting that power chord, and it links up perfectly with the bagpipes going, oh, so it's Dropkick Murphys, Enter the Haggis, and from Vancouver I found the Real Mackenzies, who sing Bobby Burns' song to like Sex Pistols riffs, and it's incredible. And I'm digging into the Real Mackenzies album, and it's like a list of original songs except for one, which is called The Catalpa Rescue, Traditional. And this is the true story that I find on Google when I look this up. It turns out that in 1870, a gang of Irish nationalists in New York hired a Yankee whaling ship to sail halfway around the world to Australia to act as the getaway vehicle for a prison break of Irish Fenian prisoners. And they hired this like one Yankee guy who really should be played by Matthew McConaughey, in 1870, like the helm of the Yankee whaler, and they say, we have a crew for you, and it's all these passionate Irish nationalists, all these like fiery Sinn Féin, soldiers who fill out, and they're going to be the crew of the ship. And then like 24 hours out of New Bedford Harbor, they realize that none of them have actually been a sailor in their lives. So they're all like throwing up over the sides of the ship, and the sails are falling down because they don't know how to mount the rigging, and they finally pull their way into the Azores, where they have to like disgorge their like sick and scurvy crew of Irish nationalist patriots and wait until they can hire up enough Malaysians and Brazilians and Portuguese to actually sail the only ship in the Irish Navy. In the meantime, the New York Sinn Féin sends out James Breslin, who really should be played by Sean Connery, okay, to pose as an American businessman. And he's going the other way around the world. He's taking the Transcontinental Railway to San Francisco and then the Yankee Clipper ship all the way to Perth, Australia. And he sets up in a local hotel, and he convinces all the British Empire flunkies of Western Australia that he is a big American investor. And to make matters worse, the daughter of the prison warden falls in love with him, and there's he's standing around as a complete fraud, like an American businessman, actually like a Sinn Féin like undercover agent visiting the prison where his own comrades are held, and he's being led around. Yes, Mr. Smith, here are some of our Irish prisoners. And they're going, Paddy McGillicuddy, and he's going, shut up, like, and he continues leading this double life in the closet as a Sinn Féin nationalist, living the life of a bourgeois American. Don't we all? And okay, in the meantime, the Catalpa finally makes it out of the Azores, but because like the crew doesn't know how to sail, and because all of their nautical instruments were bought third hand and are cheap and broken, they can't sail in a straight line. So they're like poking through the South Atlantic like a bad nurse trying to find the vein until they finally get to the Cape of Good Hope. And they have a choice here. They can either go whaling off the coast of Argentina, or to the surprise of the crew, they take a left turn around the tip of Africa. And they're going, what's going on? There's no whales in Australia. And he calls together the entire crew and he says, men, I have lied to you that this is not actually a whaling mission that you signed on for in the Azores. You are in fact members of a getaway gang who are going to liberate 6 Irish nationalist prisoners from the British Empire. And all these Malay and Portuguese and Congolese seamen are standing there going, okay. And then 4 months late, the Catalpa finally makes its way to Perth, Australia, and the day they arrive is the day of the Royal Navy Yacht Club. club regatta. So this raggedy old American whaling ship comes limping into Perth Harbor as every single warship in the British Navy in the Pacific is sitting there in the harbor. But the good news is they've all got bunting on the masts, and all the fine ladies of Perth are there serving cucumber sandwiches. So nobody pays much attention to this ratty old, like plague-infested American whaling ship. And the British harbor authorities run up the special nautical flags that say, "Greetings, American vessel, state your purpose in these waters." And like they're looking at the flags through a spyglass on the ship, and they realize that absolutely no one has any idea what the naval code is. So they just run up a random string of letters, and like in the Perth Harbor, they're looking through their spyglass, and the American ship is signaling hamburger pork chop hurricane quarantine, and they're thinking, oh, those saucy Yanks, and the Catalpa pulls off, 50 miles down the coast, right outside the British prison. Now, when you keep people prisoner 6 months voyage from their home, you don't really need a high security perimeter. And in fact, the Brits loved to take their Irish prisoners with them whenever there was a high society function in Perth, just to rub the glory of the empire in their nose. So they took out these Fenian prisoners who were shambling around in their orange jumpsuits, and they say, this, you paddies, is what a civilized nation looks like, as they watch the Royal Navy sailing back and forth in the harbor. And suddenly the American businessman pulls up by the side in a carriage, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Fenians roll into the carriage and they're gone. And it takes the Brits about 20 minutes to figure out what's happened. And then there's this Wild West chase all the way down the coast of Western Australia until they get to the longboat, and they're paddling out in the longboat as the Brits arrive and start firing at them from the shore. The Brits send out a state-of-the-art steamship frigate bristling with 50 20-pounder cannon, okay? And they pull up across the bow of the Catalpa, and the British commander is shouting at the American captain. He's going, "Give up your Irish criminals." And the captain of the Catalpa orders that the stars and stripes be raised over the flag, and he shouts back, "This is a warship of the United States Navy, and if you fire upon us, we will consider that an act of war by the forces of Great Britain." And the captain of the Georgette had been a guy trying to break the Union blockade of the Confederates just 5 years before that. So he was not going to screw around with people who had just killed 2 million of their own people, right? So he figures he's going to go back and ask for some more orders. Plus, like the decks show that the American sailors are just these like black and brown men with like earrings and nose piercing, and he figured that the American Navy has changed, So he sails back for more orders, and the Catalpa heads out into the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, a squadron full of Royal Navy steamships are out there combing on a perfect intercept pattern. But the problem is, that only works if the person you're chasing is sailing in a straight line. And because the Catalpa is just like doing the drunkard's walk all over the Indian Ocean, none of the British Navy can find it. And it slips ever so quietly around the Cape of Good Hope and falls in with a bunch of American merchantmen sailing up from Chile up to New York Harbor. And as they came into New York Harbor, they said that they were bagpipes lining the shore, and it must have sounded like power chords. And that, my friends, is what you get when you Google Celtic punk.